college wrestling is back on Iowa PBS. Tune in for 5 weeks of exciting action and online at iowapbs.org.
Love is in the air here at Wells Fargo Arena. Join the Iowa Wild on February 14th for Love in the Wild Night and February 15th for Pink in the Rink. Get your tickets now at iowawild.com.
Jason Aldean, Full Throttle Tour 2025, powered by Patriot Mobile. When the lights come on. Friday, September 19th, Wells Fargo Arena. With Nate Smith. And Ray Lynn. Jason Aldean. On sale now at iowaeventcenter.com. Jason Aldean live.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere. From the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy. Connected by Cellular Advantage.
Let's do it. Welcome to Murph and Andy here live on Iowa Everywhere on a Monday. And Andy, it's a busy Monday. We have quite a bit to talk to before we get silly.
It's a busy Monday around here. Kind of a gloomy Monday, though.
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to do something here. Either break up or go ahead and snow already.
Is snow in the forecast? We haven't had much snow.
Not at the beginning of the week, no.
Yeah, more snow in Louisiana, more snow in Texas. I think they might have more snow in Panama City than we've had in Des Moines.
I think they got it in one snowstorm.
Jeez, yeah, it's just crazy. All right, let's get right to some of the breaking news from today, and that's Iowa's arguably best player, Owen Freeman, will miss the rest of the season with a right hand finger injury. It's a finger on his right hand, a shooting hand. He is going to have surgery, according to this media release from the University of Iowa, but he's done for the season, postseason, all of it. Freeman leads Iowa in points, rebounds, and blocks. So with 10 games to go, Andy, this is a season trending in the wrong direction that just seems to have gotten quite a bit worse.
Yeah, that's about
bad.
as bad a news as you can get at this point. If we're holding out any hope that Iowa might have a late season push here to get themselves into the tournament. Another reason not to go to the game, maybe, if fans are still looking for those reasons for the Iowa men. But yeah, this is terrible news.
And it has led to rampant speculation as these things tend to have happen. Some of it is from Iowa fans, some is from rival fans, that Freeman is quitting on his team because other players with broken fingers or injured fingers find a way to stay in the lineup or have surgery and get back in a few weeks or a month or 5 weeks, whatever it takes to get back. I'm not a hand surgeon. I don't know what's going on here. I understand with what John Sears called on Sound Off last night, the lethal combination at Iowa men's basketball right now of average and apathy, that people are speculating that this is an Owen Freeman is going to end up on another team next year type move.
Well, you can't help have that kind of speculation these days, because you speculate about that even when conditions are ideal, right? I mean, you can't sleep on any good player on your team. Those players have to be continuously recruited. And if you're a fan, you can't ever take for granted that any of your players is going to be back next year. Certainly, or your good coach. It's just sort of, that's a sign of the times. But, you felt good about him because he's a local guy. He has been a real bright spot for this program the last couple of years.
Plays hard.
He's a big man. I mean, he's got a lot of things that are difficult to come by and, are extra important on a team like that. And I don't know. I mean, you see 𝗀𝗀𝗋𝗃 has a broken hand, right? Or a broken finger, Yeah. And he's out. So nobody questioned that.
He's coming back, though. He's a week or two away.
Right, but I mean, one injury could be a little bit more severe than the other.
Right.
One happened earlier in the season than the other. So, I mean, look, you may be right, but jumping to conclusions doesn't really do anybody any good.
Matt Van Winkle in for AD today, and Matt, Taman Lipsy, hand injury as well. What is that specifically?
Yeah, from what I understand, I think he aggravated that in that West Virginia game, and he's just kind of been playing through it. I haven't seen his minutes. He's really been playing pretty well as of late. He's probably been Iowa State's best scorer. He's the kind of guy that will play through pretty much anything. He's coming off that shoulder surgery this offseason too, but yeah, he's had that finger wrapped up and kind of just playing through it.
So we don't know is the bottom line here. You're right, though, Andy. There was speculation about Owen Freeman last year because he was so good as a freshman, Big Ten Freshman of the Year, co-freshman of the year, should have been the outright Big Ten Freshman of the Year, that people correctly said there are other programs that are going to want this guy. He's going to be offered money. He's going to be able to go wherever he wants. But he was back at Iowa. So that speculation was wrong. Just being clear that we don't know that there's something more to this, but you're right in saying with the conditions that are out there right now, with the average, with the apathy, with what an Owen Freeman is worth on the open market these days, and maybe he's not going to be a pro and this is a chance to make some real money. Mm-hmm. Of course there's going to be speculation, but it is important also to note we don't know. This could be exactly what Iowa says it is in the release, and he could be back with the Hawkeyes next season.
Some of it is common sense, and some of it is us learning how to read the tea leaves. We have certain formulas that begin to spell out in front of us, and we feel like we can go ahead and jump ahead to a conclusion that we're going to know what it ultimately ends up as. But, I mean, at this point, you have to remember that for as long as sports have been going on, guys have been getting injured, and the injury has cost them the rest of the season, particularly when it happens in February.
10 games to go for the Hawkeyes. The NCAA tournament, which seemed possible, certainly in November and December, that's gone. The NIT looks unlikely. I mean, 10 games with a reasonably tough schedule down the stretch without Owen Freeman, that sounds like a 3-7, maybe a 2-8.
Yeah, and certainly would have liked to have him against Purdue.
Oh, man. Yeah, Purdue's already a nightmare for Iowa and has been for many years. Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for sports and more here on a Murph and Andy Monday. Cyclone DUD, Big Monday, and Hawkeye Hysteria. That is all coming up. Presented by Guest House Tavern, Northwest-inspired Midwestern hospitality. Had dinner there at Guest House Tavern Friday night. Andy, I was pleased to see that the place was full. There were people waiting to get in the restaurant. There were some people that turned and left because they didn't have reservations. It was full. People were happy. I got a couple of nice messages from listeners this weekend who tried it for the first time and really had a great time. One of them on a date night with his wife, and that made me feel good. So we had another great evening at Guest House Tavern.
Yeah, we went on Saturday night, and
we just missed each other.
Yeah, saw the same thing. It was packed. We had a reservation, so we got right in and had a wonderful time. We had a really nice waitress, and we were talking to her, and I was saying, how's it going here so far? And she said, it's been so busy. Things have really picked up, and it's been great. And I said, well, what do you think's happened? And she said, well, Winnie Moranville wrote a really nice blog about us and said that we were the best restaurant she went to in 2024.
Yeah, so you talked about that at length a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we brought that up here on the show. So that brought in a bunch of people. And then the Des Moines Register had a nice write-up. And then Keith Murphy mentioned us in his podcast. So, and we were like, oh, really? He did? He
really?
did? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, she didn't know me from Adam, but that was totally fine. It was really good, though, that she saw that or was giving us credit. or at least you credit for the spike in business there. But hey, look, it's well deserved. It's a really nice place, and clearly it's not a secret anymore.
Yeah, it's a good time there. Appreciate that. All right, let's go high or low since the last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
All right, I'm getting W-2s and 1099s right and left. So tax season is officially here. Tax prep, financial accounts, retirement prep. It can all be a little overwhelming, but the team at Wealth Charter's goal is to help simplify that whole process for you. Tim Hawkins and company waiting on your call there. You can also find them at wealthcharterretirement.com on the internet. I'll stick with Guest House here on my high because I went in and the owner Pete Faber I had been in a couple of times before when we started our relationship there when they decided to start advertising on our podcast, and they have, as you've noticed, really cool classic what they call breweriana beer signs, beer memorabilia from back in the 70s, probably earlier than that, and I remarked on how much I like that stuff.
Yeah, I've got my eye on a Ham's mural there.
Yeah. So I love the Ham stuff too, and he gave me he set this aside for me. Here, check this out, Van Winkle.
Oh, that's the bear from Beat the Bear.
This is the Ham's beer bear.
That's who the bear is.
Yeah, but this is the Ham's. This is not Beat the Bear. This is Ham's beer.
But the Ham's bear is the Beat the Bear bear.
Yeah, but this guy had it long before Beat the Bear. Beat the Bear is a copy off of that. So look at this though. It's a calendar, and then you can change the numbers. So like for example, when it's February 53rd, you can have that on your calendar there on your bar.
I didn't get a thing. I was there Friday night.
Well, you don't care about this kind of stuff. I do. I've got a bar.
Didn't get we were going to try to take one of those signs, but Jenny's like, I can't fit that in the purse. So we couldn't get it out of there.
Yeah, so that was really, really nice. This is going to go down in the vortex, and it's cool. He's going to, I guess you can hang them on the wall, but.
They have some of those cool signs. I don't know if it's a Ham's one, but it looks like water's flowing through it.
Yeah, from the land of sky blue waters.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a Wisconsin, Minnesota theme there, kind of a Northwoods theme, and so that the Ham stuff fit.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I lived in Duluth, Minnesota for like 4 years. Yeah. So I've been to some of those cool bars that kind of remind me there of Guest House. It's great. The food's incredible. So
I do love those. And anytime in our Christmas promos at WHO 13, we used the bear. And anytime the bear comes up, it's like floppy. It's this nostalgia that rushes over people who have lived here for a long time. And the bear, I've been interested to know, a lot of people did not know this backstory. So Beat the Bear on Sunday nights during football season when it was on, it was originally sponsored by Ham's Beer. Yeah. So Ham's Beer sent their bear costume mascot. And then over the years, Ham's wasn't the sponsor anymore. But WHO didn't send the costume back, just kept the bear. Beat the Bear continued with other sponsors, but that is the original Ham's Beer bear. And he's been through a lot at this point, Andy. He's even that bear even smells a little bit.
Yeah. He's got some stuff living inside of him, I think. Yeah, that's funny. They probably had a Marlboro Man at one point too. Those things were sponsored by beer and cigarettes, and nobody said anything about it, which it's kind of a shame that somehow when I was a kid, I had a Ham's Beer t-shirt.
When you were a kid, you probably wore it to school.
Well, I did. I wore it all over the place, and then I wore it around my mom's super Lutheran cousins and aunts up in Wisconsin one time, and my mom's cousin Dorothy pulled me aside, and she was like, Jesus doesn't want you to drink beer. You can't do that. And she was.
Was Jesus cool with wine though? Did you ever ask?
I don't know why. Yeah, right. I don't know how she has any idea, but yeah, she was not. She really came down hard on me, and I think it made my mom feel kind of bad.
Colin got sent home for wearing a Budweiser t-shirt. Probably, I don't know, 8th or 9th grade. We just weren't really even thinking about it. It's just a freebie at some point that was passed down, and he wore it and can't wear it. Couldn't wear that at school at the time. Different days.
Different days, the rules.
I just bought my daughter a Grateful Dead t-shirt with the dancing bears. It's got like skulls on it, so I'm a little bit nervous to send her with that, but
Does it have any weed?
It doesn't have any shrooms on it, does it?
No.
All right, I'm going to go low. And my low was watching the final. This is increasingly happening. I think anybody who watches a lot of college basketball, men's college basketball in particular, feels this. The final minute of a college basketball game is an endurance test. It is ridiculous. And waiting for the Iowa State-Kansas State game to start was longer than Dances with Wolves. It just went on and on and on. It was Wake Forest against Pitt. And this is not an exaggeration. It sounds like one. The final minute took 15 minutes of actual clock. And at one point, Tom Doyle, as we were having this discussion on social media, Tom pointed out that 16.6 seconds had been on the clock with no change for more than 5 minutes. It's just there are way too many timeouts that get used, whether they need to get used or not. The 30-second timeout is not 30 seconds. It's far more than 30 seconds. And then, Andy, we got to review anything and everything, even if it's obvious that the call was right. We still have to review it, and it's still not quick, and it just drags on and on and on. And they continue to slot these games as if they're going to be 2 hours long when they're not going to be 2 hours long. Not with this final minute taking 15 minutes. It's so frustrating.
No, they clearly don't mind making an anxious audience just wait a little while because it's not going anywhere. They're just going to wait until the game actually does start. But you wonder how bad this has to get before they take action. I don't know if it's even the NCAA at this point or if it's actually the television network that's broadcasting the game, but where you just step forward and be like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is taking too long. There were too many stoppages. There were too many reviews. For the sake of the quality of the product, we have to do something. Now, I mean, you don't want to be on the shortchanged end of something like that. I mean, if your team ends up, manipulating that clock in the final minute just to perfection and coming back and winning a game because of the way that you did that, then you're glad that, you're able to do that. But any other time, I think we all watch this and just think that this is gaming the system, right? This is not in the spirit of the game. This is not in the spirit of why these rules came about in the first place, where you're just trying to, look for any possible advantage or extra view, matchup change that you can possibly make in that final minute to give your team a little bit more of a chance.
And the perfect storm is when the coaches have their timeouts. There are video reviews that need to happen. And one team is in the position of just having to foul repeatedly to have any chance to get back in the game. So it's timeout, commercial, foul, video review, timeout, commercial, foul. It takes this great game of college basketball and grinds it to a maddening halt, and it needs to be fixed. Let's get the buzz.
You kind of wish sometimes that there was some. This is ridiculous, but there was some situation in there where, each coach can have an automatic 10-second runoff of the clock, right? Where they can be like, okay, I'm going to take my 10-second runoff now. Like instead of a timeout, you can sacrifice that for, subtracting seconds off the game clock or something just to move the thing along.
Jeez, yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Now the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by 𝘀cie Heating and Cooling.
𝘀cie Heating and Cooling, dedicated to providing heating and cooling solutions to Des Moines area families. The buzz is kind of a two-parter, but let's start it with Iowa State's stunning effort Saturday against unranked Kansas State in lavender uniforms. A 29-game home winning streak. Jerome Tang with that sports hate hanging in the building, coming off a painful loss at Arizona. A fast start for Iowa State, which we didn't get to see because of the aforementioned final minute of Wake Forest and Pitt. And then Iowa State, Andy goes out there and just lays an absolute egg, a dud. One of the worst efforts we've seen in the 4 years of TJ Otzelberger.
Did not see this coming. We've seen Kansas State earlier this year. We saw Drake go down to Kansas City and beat them. And, you know, Iowa State is coming off that just fluky loss at Arizona, where you really think, okay, they're going to put it all back together here. You're hearing now people talking about Iowa State having a lack of depth, which is just nuts, which, you know, just, I mean, if that doesn't tell you that you need to, you know, reserve judgment, I don't know what will, because.
And I don't even know if I call it lack of depth, Andy. I just call it lack of production from the bench. Yeah, there's still depth, but you're not getting that production like you were before.
Right. But I mean, it wasn't very long ago that you were just like, man, we've only got one basketball out here. We've got way too many guys that can shoot it. And now you're just like, man, we got to have somebody else step up. I never saw this coming. I thought this was a guaranteed win. Makes it a little worse that they're wearing those powder puff uniforms. But, you know, I think that, you know what, I mean, we know that the Big 12 is a very difficult conference, and people will stress over and over again that anybody can beat anybody, anytime, anywhere. But we didn't really believe that, not going into this game. I didn't think that. And
it was 19 points. Like it wasn't the Arizona result where K-State hits a 60-footer at the buzzer and somehow wins at Hilton Coliseum. Kansas State dominated the second half. And most shocking, the things we don't ever expect to see from a TJ coach team, which is Kansas State was out hustling Iowa State in Iowa State's own building. They were getting to the loose balls. The Iowa State wasn't getting any offensive rebounding. The spacing was bad. It's just the flow didn't work. It looked like the team was half asleep or sleepwalking through the game. And that's the one thing you come to count on is, well, you're going to get maximum effort. Even that first year when Iowa State didn't have the talent, you just knew, well, they're going to go out there, they're going to outwork everybody they play. And you could tell the level of frustration that TJ Otzelberger felt, because at one point it seemed like he was trying to get a technical foul to wake his team up. And then after they had a little bit of a rally, he kind of turned himself into a tornado or a cyclone, just going nuts, trying to get the team and the crowd amped up. And that didn't last long either. So it's a perplexing effort. It's one game. I don't think we need to overreact to it, but it is concerning.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, you and everybody is, you know, they are overreacting. It's just the way we do it, right? I mean, did Iowa State peak already? You know, did TJ peak already? I mean, I didn't think that this kind of game was possible, because I understand, and we've seen it a number of times this season, where they're on the road and they clearly don't have their best game, but they're either able to come back and win that game, or, you know, in the case of Arizona, I mean, at least come very close, or, you know, the West Virginia game just looked really fluky, like neither team was playing very well, and West Virginia just wins this battle of attrition. But I didn't think that was possible at Hilton Coliseum, because I just genuinely felt like the Iowa State crowd wills them to win in those situations, right? They may not be playing all that well, but the Iowa State crowd, the Hilton crowd, will not let them lapse, you know, for a long period of time. They'll step in, they'll get on the opponent, they'll push the Cyclone players up a level from where they're playing, and together as a group effort, they'll get it done and they'll find a way to win. And we've just seen that so many times, and particularly this team this year, with as much talent and depth as they do have. I I just did not think that was possible, particularly against a team like Kansas State, which is an inferior team to Iowa State.
Here's TJ Otzelberger after the game.
It certainly was an effort that we're proud of at all. Definitely different than our standard, what we expect. And I think what we've demonstrated, through the first 20 games. And so that one was different.
I don't think anyone expects us that to happen in here, not us, not the fans. So it sucks that it did happen, and we're going to figure out why it happened and try to make that not happen ever again.
That's Tamin Lipsey and TJ Otzelberger agreeing with what we're saying. That video, thanks to Mark Woodley at 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃. You could sense Otzelberger trying to get it back, get the fans into it. It just wasn't meant to be. And you don't have any time to recover mentally from this, because at Kansas, at Phog Allen Fieldhouse tonight on Big Monday, and Kansas just coughed up a 21-point lead, which might be the worst in program history, losing to Baylor. So right now you have two teams falling down the AP poll rankings and also desperately needing to get back on track for the high-end ceiling ambitions that fans have.
And maybe that'll happen. I mean, we've seen seasons like this where there's a big hiccup at this point of the season, or sometime in the month of February, and the team is able to steer into it and straighten it out in the conference tournament. What right now I just think what you would like after this game is like some idea of what is wrong, right? And some reason to believe that this is just going to be something temporary. I feel like it's going to be, I just feel like the talent is too deep, and you can't go in the Arizona State game. What was that, 2 games ago? Curtis Jones was the best player in the league. The announcers could not be more definitive about that.
He's in a slump. 𝗀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹 is not the Gilbert we saw in the first 2 months of the season. They miss Momcilovic. He's been, they're 3-3 without him.
It was like 2 games ago. It was like everybody's like, well, this is a good time to have him out right now because you get some of the other guys in there and give them a chance to play. We do this as fans. We ping, we swing back and forth wildly, and we're on one end of that swing right now.
Bill Self wins Big Monday games. I don't even know how often they lose a Big Monday games. Not very often. Kansas is tough on Big Monday in a lot of them. And our friend Scott Long is on his way to Phog Allen Fieldhouse. There's some caravans headed there for the game tonight. It'll be sold out. It'll be hopping. It's probably the best atmosphere in college basketball. So that's coming up tonight. It leads us to a quickie poll from WCI Pools and Spas at Ames and Urbandale.
Where are you more on Bill Self? Kind of like him or not a fan?
I kind of like him. I kind of like him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's grown on me a lot too. I do kind of like him. I mean, he in the moment, his who farted face will really get under your skin, where he works the refs better than anybody else.
It's a who farted face?
Well, or whatever, or just that he, where he's just, oh God, he just looks like he's bitching and moaning about every little call that goes against him. But, I mean, what he's doing. I mean, we've seen it enough times and seen him be successful at it. And he's not an antagonist. That's one he's definitely not. I mean, he gives credit where it's due. At the end of the game, he shakes hands. He stands up like a man. I think he expects that from his players. I like him.
What about you, Matt?
Man, I just remember when I was an Iowa State student, how much I booed this guy when I was in Cyclone Alley. But he has come around on me a little bit, and the results of this poll kind of, I would say, lean towards more how Iowa State fans generally feel about him. Now the diehards are obviously going to hate him, but it's more respect for me now for him when he comes to Hilton than when we play them. But man, that's a tough place for Iowa State to go down and win. That's for sure.
It is just an incredible atmosphere. It's so cool. I know, talking to our friend Scott, he's never been. It's on his bucket list. He's not going to regret going there tonight, however the game turns out. Everybody should do it. And if you do it, make sure you show up enough time to kind of walk through what is essentially a Hall of Fame for college basketball there. It's an awesome place. I should mention you can interact on YouTube. You can email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy, and it is all powered by the Cellular Advantage, proudly representing U.S. Cellular since 1993 with 35 regional locations. And again, thank you for those photos you sent in of Doug Eklund. Those kind of rocked his weekend when he wondered where they came from. And of course, we won't reveal the sources.
Yeah, okay. He sent at least one of those photos, though. So
one came from him? Okay,
yeah,
all right.
He said at least one. He might have sent them both. No, he was cool.
No, he didn't send them both.
He didn't? Okay, all right. Well,
No.
he sent at least one of them. But, we wanted to know what the first Cellular Advantage location looked like.
It was a tent.
And it was a tent in the middle of the field with a folding table in it.
A folding table covered in bag phones. Come a long way. Doug's probably listening to us right now on his own island that he bought. Additional hot topics here on a Murph and Andy show Monday: the Caitlin Clark jersey number retirement. It is a number retirement. It was called a jersey retirement by the University of Iowa, but there are two. It's a little complicated at Iowa. There are a couple of different things. There's the number retired, and then there's a jersey retired. Some players have had the jersey retired, meaning they're honored, they have a special ceremony, but other players can still wear that number. That is not the case with number 22. This is a number retirement, as it should be, even though some other good players at Iowa before Caitlin wore number 22. This was an absolute media crush. It wasn't just most of the media from the state of Iowa. There was a lot of national media there, as you would expect. David Letterman came to the game for his...
Sitting there with the Blooters.
Yeah, sat with the Blooters, high-fiving the Blooters during the game. I assume that Letterman is doing something. Caitlin Clark is a guest on his Netflix interview series.
Big backer of Indiana sports, always has been.
Good point. Yeah, this was really well done by the University of Iowa. The videos from all around the world on the Caitlin Clark effect and the impact from other countries, from children, just her impact on women's sports. They did a really nice job of showing not just why she was arguably the greatest women's college basketball player of all time, but just what she has meant as she has become one of the biggest sports stars in the world. And her family was there. This was really well done. And she talked about having her jersey retired just a week after she turned 23 years old.
I think once you hear the day and it's oh, your jersey's getting retired this day, it's oh, okay. But when the day approaches very fast, you don't have as much time to prepare for everything that's going to be involved in it. But I just am fortunate to come back here. I honestly thought I would be back in Iowa City a lot more than I've been able to be over since I've left. This is only really my second time back here. The other time was when we got our rings on the field. So it's just fun for me to come back and just say thank you to everybody that poured so much into me and allowed me to be great, whether that's, the social media people, whether that's the marketing team, whoever it is that made me look really good at times. So just making sure I say thank you to all of them, because none of that happens without all of those people pouring themselves into our team and our program every single day.
Trent Reichs from WHO 13 there on the scene shooting the video for us. Appreciate that. So it was all really well done. But the one thing that I thought about going into it is, man, I understand Fox wants to carry this, and I know why. But the ceremony after the game, after you play number 4 USC and Juju Watkins, this could be a little bit tricky, because, USC's favored by 15. Most anybody who's not just always picking Iowa is expecting USC to win this game. And Iowa just comes out and gets out to an 18-1 lead, coughs it all up by halftime, And then Andy finds a way to win in the fourth quarter where 𝗀𝗙cie𝗋𝗋 does what she was brought in to do, which is score. She had 15 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the best second half, or the best half of basketball that Iowa's put together this year, I think. It was an inspired half. It was fun to watch the reaction that they were getting, not just from the crowd, which, immediately, just the sound of that crowd took you back to the last 2 years, the last 3 years at Carver Hawkeye Arena. It just sounded like 𝗙𝗃𝗃 was back in the lineup again. But then watching Lisa Bluder act like a genuine fan, that was my favorite part of the whole game. I mean, she was as pumped up as any little kid in the crowd was, and she had license to be that way because she's just a fan now, and she's standing up and interacting with other people around her, and she's just way into the comeback or the back and forth battle that they're in there. And Iowa did find an extra gear. They found other players. Allison O'Grady was great, stepped in and gave them the extra that they needed, and that was an inspired win. So I'm so happy for Jan Jensen as we're looking at her right here. I think everybody felt good for her because that would have been in front of all of those people and, in that situation, having your team cough up that huge early lead and then ultimately lose would have been, really difficult. I think it would have changed the conversation a lot, but the fact that they put that together and got that done. I mean, immediately you're just like one more magical day for fans who paid through the nose to get into Carver Hawkeye Arena on something attached to 𝗙𝗃𝗃.
It's 3 straight wins for Iowa since we cautioned against overreaction to Jan Jensen because there was a little bit of meltdown about that. And here in her first season, she's beaten Iowa State, which the Cyclones started the season as a top 10 team. And now the real signature win here against number 4 USC. And Juju Watkins, you can see why she's a first-team All-American. She had 27 points, but it took her 21 or 22 shots to get to the 27 points. And one of the things that was interesting is last year's 3 leading scorers in the entire nation were all in the building. There's 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗃, she was number 1. Juju Watkins was number 2. And number 3 was 𝗀𝗙cie𝗋𝗋 last year. So all 3 of the leading scorers are in the building, and they all seem to have like a significant impact on this game. Here is Olsen, Jan Jensen, and Juju after the game.
It was cool. I know Jan has talked to me a few times and was like, "This is what you came here for. Play your game. You got this." But yeah, I noticed how loud it was. First, when I went out to shoot, there were already people in the stadium. I was like, "What is this? People aren't supposed to be here yet." But yeah, and then when we came out to warm up, it was so loud already. The tip off, it was like my ears. I was like, I hope it gets a little quieter because I can't hear anything.
What I'm so happy for them about is, they've been staying the course, right? After Maryland all the way up, and they keep coming and they keep, leaning in, and, we keep, working. And I was so happy they got this moment.
It's just a testament to I think what Caitlin's done, and then what the direction that the sport is headed in. So I'm super grateful to have a part in it and be able to showcase my talents and what the women's game can do.
Nice comments there from Juju Watkins, and props to USC for coming back out on the court after a really tough loss for the 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗃 jersey retirement. I thought that was first class. Like to see that. It was just a great day, and it also stands in such contrast, Andy, to the atmosphere at a men's basketball game in that same building.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that it shows you the potential. I mean, it takes something. Well, it doesn't take. I won't say that. It clearly that was something, and 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗃 in every game she's had there is something extraordinary, and something once in a lifetime experience for a lot of those fans, and they picked up on that really early, and so they just, they reacted with attendance like. the men's team has not seen maybe in my whole time here. I mean, they've sold out games, but there wasn't that sort of electricity. And, you know, I mean, if you're a member of that USC team, of course you want to be back out there on the court and watch all that. I mean, that's some history. And if you didn't get to see Caitlin Clark up close, you know, in the past as a player, that's kind of the next best thing. I mean, that's something that you'll tell your grandchildren later on, that you saw that, you witnessed that.
Meantime, the Indiana Fever, which sent its new head coach and front office there, the Indiana Fever is loading up. They know what they have, and they know the time is now to make runs at championships. And remember the fake and wrong narrative out there, like, oh, people aren't going to want to go play with Caitlin Clark. They can't get there fast enough. Black, white, all the players who are free agents want to come play for the Fever, because you forget with all the points she scores that she set the single season record for assists. She set the single game record for assists. She's the most unselfish player in the league. So they're lining up to go join the Indiana Fever. And I'm not
stay with the
surprised
Indiana Fever. Yeah.
𝗀cie Mitchell is a great player, and the two of them are. I mean, a lot of Caitlin's assists are to 𝗀cie Mitchell, but the free agents are coming in. There's a better coach there now. They're loading up. So, and they're also coming to Carver Hawkeye Arena. If you want tickets to that, good luck when those go on sale. Drake, the men, 20-2, big game alert at Murray State Tuesday.
Yeah, that's kind of obviously one of the losses that they've got on the season. One of the two losses they have of the season. It's unfortunate those losses came when they did, because those are the reason that Drake doesn't have any votes, or didn't have any votes.
18 votes today
in the AP poll as of yesterday. So yeah, 18 votes, not enough, but I mean this is. This is just a team. This is a season that I can't get my mind around. It's incredible. This is if there's a better story in basketball this year, I have to have somebody tell me what it is. This is incredible. I've said it ad nauseum. And
your What's Bugging Andy last night on Sound Off was terrific. It's at WHO13.com if you want to watch it. Every Drake fan should watch it, but more importantly, non-Drake fans should watch it, because you do a great job of framing, like, do you understand this team is 20-2, and 4 of these guys were on a Division II team last year, and the coach is new? I mean, it is, I think we are somewhat overlooking how incredible this is.
Well, I think we're completely overlooking it. I mean, this is, we'll all fall back on the fact that Drake doesn't have the fan base that Iowa State do. But you don't have to be a Drake fan to go to the Knapp Center and watch this. I think you could be a diehard fan of the Cyclones or Cyclones and Hawkeyes, or Hawkeyes, and go and really enjoy watching this team play unselfish basketball. They play the right amount of defense. They shoot free throws really well. They shoot three-pointers well. They pass the ball well. They're just an extremely well-coached, disciplined team that has not – there are no selfish players on this team. This team is just like knowing that they're playing with house money and just throwing it around and having a great time with it. And I'm going to go to the game on Saturday, and I can't wait.
I'm going too.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent.
Are you guys sitting together? Well, you probably aren't. You know, when Andy goes over there, Matt, it's like he basically has a seat on the court.
I got to check out these dogs. Hey, by transitive property, Drake would have beaten Iowa State, because they beat Kansas State and Iowa State did not. So
right. Yeah, they did, and you know they beat a Vanderbilt team that's beaten Kentucky and Tennessee, or top 10 teams, or were. You know, there are all sorts of things that you can look at about this season that just make this stand out as just an amazing, incredible, fun story. And it just keeps on going. I mean, they had those 2 losses in the middle of the season, but they got right back on the horse and have ripped off 8 straight since then. It's the Valley Conference. It's not the Big 12 or the Big 10, but they're winning impressively. They're going to Bradley and winning. They're beating UNI convincingly. I mean, at this point, they have 8 games left in the Valley Conference season. They win all 8 of those, and that's 28 wins on the season, which ties the 2008 team, their total for the season. Now, I'm going to get ahead of ourselves here or anything, but I mean, you have to sort of put yourself in the shoes of a Drake fan. And I keep breaking out this stat, and no one has been impressed by this, but you should be. I mean, Drake has been playing basketball for 120 years.
That's a long time.
They've had a total of 4 coaches win 20 games in a season, and Ben McCollum is one of them. I mean, the others are Darren DeVries, who we know how incredible he was, and he's coaching at West Virginia now.
Keno Davis,
which was one of the most incredible flashes and pans that men's college basketball's ever seen. Immediately went and coached Providence after that.
Maury John.
And Maury John.
To the Final Four.
Is the dean of Drake basketball coaches, and that's it.
That's all.
I mean, that's it. And you know, you might say, well, they play more games than they used to. He got 20 games by Groundhog Day. I mean, yeah. there are no conditions to this.
And
this
they used to lose
incredible.
Far more games. It is. It really is. It's so impressive. And Mark Freund will have a story on the Drake Bulldogs tonight at 10. So, Andy, we're listening. We're paying attention.
Can't get enough.
We got you.
Right.
All right. Yeah, we're with you. Zubin Mehenti from ESPN Sports Center brought this story to my attention. It's really cool. So Seth Tuttle, former UNI Panther star, now an assistant coach, he and his wife had their 3rd baby boy yesterday morning, and then Seth still showed up to coach the game against Bradley. So he had the baby in the morning, and he's there on the bench. What, you guys both have kids? What's your fastest turnaround to doing something that, like working or doing something where people are like, what, you already did that? I mean, this guy was coaching the day his kid was born.
I just remember being tired and not wanting to go out and do things in the outside world, just staying home, but props to him.
A big deal. I was on the radio with my first kid, like right afterwards. This is nothing.
You are not impressed by this at all? What do you mean you were on the radio?
I was.
You're in the radio studio?
Show. No, I wasn't in the studio, but I got on the phone. I was on with you.
You
right
took
after
a phone call. You didn't go sit on the bench and coach.
It was like a 10-minute phone call.
It's basketball season. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I was right there. I was right. That had been April 25th, 2011. I was right back to work.
𝗀cie𝗶𝗶𝗏 says it's not like he pushed the baby out.
Yeah, this isn't the same as if he had the baby.
He doesn't. Yeah, the men always get way too much credit for that kind of stuff. They shouldn't really get any. But no, honestly, this is adding up to is a funny 3rd kid story for Seth Tuttle's kid to tell later on about his parents. Yeah, man, I remember the first kid. They waited over that kid hand and foot, and were, every single thing they were engaged in. By the time I was born, my dad immediately went right back to work. As soon as they knew I was a boy and I had 2 hands and 2 feet, he was out of there.
Same day he was at the game. Yeah.
Yeah. By the time you have that 3rd kid, you let him juggle knives.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah, there is.
NBA blockbuster trade 𝗀cie 𝗃𝗃 for Anthony Davis. So Doncic, who's 5 years in a row, first team All NBA, goes to the Lakers at age 25, which begs the question, how much do the Mavericks want to get rid of 𝗀cie 𝗃𝗃?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me either. I mean, I know they were talking about defense winning championships or something with Anthony Davis, but I mean, the guy gets injured a lot.
Out of shape a lot.
Yeah, and Luka Doncic is great. I don't know. They must know something.
Yeah,
but this is crazy. The Lakers
when I say
fans
out of shape,
excited.
I mean Doncic. He constantly is fighting conditioning problem and a weight problem at times, but man, that does not stop him from scoring. Now he doesn't play defense, but that hardly makes him a unicorn in the NBA, does it? Bleacher Report has a story today. Luka apparently cried after finding out he was traded to LA, and he also bought a $15 million house in Dallas like last week.
It's probably why he's crying.
Yeah, it says heartbreaking. The Bleacher Report, heartbreaking with a broken heart. I don't know that it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, you know what? You got enough money, you can keep that house if you really want.
Or I've seen the stories like, he could have gotten a $350 million deal at Dallas for 5 years. At LA with the Lakers, it's only going to be like $250. Man, if there's anywhere I can send my money to just like to help out during these tough times. Oh, it's a big trade, and it's probably needed to make anybody notice or make the mass public notice the NBA right now. There's definitely a problem there in the regular season, and I don't know what the answer is. But now here's Mick Cronin's latest example of how he'd rather be anywhere than coaching the UCLA men's basketball team.
If I had Rick Pitino's money, I'd be on a private plane for Cabo right now. Never been. How is it?
What is he trolling his own team? If
I had Rick Pitino's money, I'd be on a private plane for Cabo right now. Never been. How is it?
I like that. There's somebody just like, tss. Did you hear him? Yeah. Somebody in the crowd is like, tss, what a dick.
Confluence, official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence, where good things come together. They'll have Confluence at the Iowa Everywhere Party. That's coming up February 21st at the Irish, which is out in West Glen in West Des Moines next to the Funny Bone. Nice bar. Going to have a good party. Going to have Grimaldi's Pizza out there at a good time. You're invited. I don't know what the time is, but it'll be at night, I assume.
It'll be at party time. Yeah, it's no goofy time. We're not doing this at 10 a.m. or something like this. No, we're doing it at the normal party time. It might start around 7 or 8.
We're not doing Thursday nights. No more Thursday nights.
There's no Thursday night crap where we got a discount on the venue or something, so we got to do it on a Thursday. No, we're doing it on a Friday at
we're doing
party
this
time,
proper.
And we're running this sucker until they kick us out.
All right, deal. Let's get some more here on them.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
Either Or Eatery and Patio is sitting there looking pretty at 6222 Grand Avenue in Des Moines. Try that out this week if you haven't done that yet. They've had a little late run on the patio, recent run on the patio there, which is crazy at this time of the year. Going to get a little too cold this week, but the inside is beautiful as well. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow again yesterday.
This little punk. I don't believe anything this little rodent has to say.
Look how cute he is. A little tongue
he's
sticking
not
out.
that cute, and he's a liar. He doesn't know what he's doing.
But you realize it's just a guy that says they just pick each year, which is crazy because there's a human behind the whole thing, like that guy, and he's that
What a
bad.
crony.
All this guy does is have to watch the weather forecast, and it seems like they should go back and forth like every year, or every few years. But usually he is seeing a shadow. More often than not, he sees his shadow, and then more often than not, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So it seems like they need to change up the formula over there in Punxsutawney, PA.
Andy, this guy, this little rodent, this Phil, Punxsutawney Phil, he can't swing from Ed Wilson's Doppler. This guy, I don't trust him. I don't trust anything. I don't trust the guy holding him. The forecasts are more wrong than right. You can't go by this at all. This is just one more excuse to get drunk in the morning.
You know what, though, is crazy, though, which really kind of sucks, is that it fell on a Sunday this year. It's almost like they should move it. Man, I hate it when party days fall on a Sunday.
Like the Super Bowl?
Well, like the Super Bowl or, like St. Patrick's Day, if that falls on a Sunday, it just sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Or the 4th of July even. I mean, like a day that's a holiday, like a party day, which is pretty much every holiday.
Yeah, that's
when it falls on a Sunday, it just takes some of the wind out of it. Almost like they should delay it by a day or do it a day early on the years where they fall on a Sunday. But it was just, kind of strange seeing people, out drinking on a Sunday morning, and they didn't start any later than they normally did on a year when it's not on a Sunday. Everybody check out the new sign over at the Des Moines International Airport. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
DSM? You see that? DSM?
Yep.
That's for Des Moines.
Yeah, that's the old airplane code.
That's a big D.
That's a big D.
That's a big one. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's cool. Airport codes have always been kind of interesting to me. Sometimes they make perfect sense, and sometimes they don't seem to make any sense.
Yeah, ATL makes sense.
Yeah, the DSM makes sense. STL makes sense. MSP makes sense.
Right.
Many of the other ones don't make any sense. They are assigned by the International Air Transport Association and the International Civil Aviation Organization. So the codes are based on the airport's name or location. They seem like they don't make any sense, but when you break them down, they end up making more sense than you thought. Sometimes it's a historical reference that they're based on as well. So some of them are pretty weird, like Kansas City's airport, like Kansas City International, you think it'd be KCI. It's not. It's MCI.
Yeah, that was always confusing, like Orlando's MCO. There is a reason for it, but it's kind of counterintuitive, unlike DSM or PHX or ATL.
Yeah, right. At Kansas City is MCI because it is called Mid-Continent International. That's what that stands for, which makes a little sense because it's in the middle of the continent. Spokane, Washington is GEG, G-E-G, which the airport was named originally for Major Harold Geiger, and so they abbreviated that GEG. Fresno, California is named the fact that it was the original name of the airport was the Fresno Air Terminal, and so the code for the airport is FAT, F-A-T. And one of those weird ones that we all just understand now, which probably you don't know the origin of, is O'Hare over in Chicago. That's O-R-D, ORD. And that stands for Orchard Field Airport, which was the former name of the airport before they changed it to O'Hare.
All right.
I had some eggs for breakfast this morning, and I used to eat. I would eat like 3 eggs every morning, and I have totally stopped doing that because eggs are just so expensive, and the egg prices are continuing to rise. They're now averaging $5.30 a dozen, and they're in short supply too. I went to Aldi yesterday, which has like this giant, like almost walk-in cooler that's normally full of eggs, and it's like all the way down to the bottom. There's only a few. People have set a few broken dozens away. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There were such shortages, but the problem is the bird flu. Experts say that is the main reason for the price surge and the shortage. Iowa has been hit the hardest of any state over the past 2 years that the bird flu has been, this round of the bird flu has been raging. Just today, there was another outbreak up in O'Brien County, which has a lot of egg farms. So
dang, you brought me those pickled eggs, and thank you for Christmas. Big jar.
I don't dare make any of those right now. They're too expensive.
I went through those as I do in a jar, like 2 or 3 weeks. They've been gone for a while. I went to order some more and had sticker shock. I was like, for a jar of pickled eggs, it's like $60.
And part of the thing is like eggs were once so cheap that people would throw them at other people's houses. Remember that?
Yeah, now it's cheaper to go paint their house.
Yeah. Egg their house or egg their car or something. You wouldn't do that anymore. It's too expensive. It's too and it's wasteful, but mostly it's too expensive. Hey, everybody check out Kanye West's girlfriend's outfit at the Grammys last night.
Is it an outfit?
All right, Van Winkle, I know you've already spent some time on this subject today. Is that a dress? I mean, she's got the coat on, and there's some material there.
Yeah,
it's like a nude stocking for her entire body.
Well, part of her body.
See-through stocking for her.
It only comes down to her, like just below her butt cheeks.
What?
She's making a statement, right?
Well, the statement they're both making is that they're very confident because Kanye is dressed like a busboy. I mean, he's got a black T-shirt, black pants, and like some black New Balance referee shoes on.
And they're apparently not invited, so they were escorted out. I didn't watch the Grammys, but the photos I've seen are like, man, is this the niche of people most out of touch with the rest of us? Like Will Smith's kid has a house on his head. Have you seen photos of this, Andy?
No, I haven't yet.
He wears a house on his head.
These are music stars, or they're supposed to be. They're always the craziest, right? Aren't they supposed to be? I mean,
I guess. Man.
Some kind of musical artist just shows up in a regular tux. You're like, oh, man, are you a rock and roller or what? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
It's like a castle on his head.
He's got a castle on his head, and his sister had an intentionally blacked out tooth. Like a hockey look. What the hell is this?
Like something a kid would make in art class.
That family has taken a sharp hairpin turn, hasn't it?
I just don't
out of
get it.
The good graces of the public. The Will Smith family.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Oh my God! I mean, like Will Smith was like everybody's buddy.
Yeah.
And then the slap and well, Jada was always a little
Will
odd,
Smith has been in some great movies.
Yeah, but he was just kind of a regular dude. And now, oh man, the whole thing is burning down. From Wallet Hub, the states with the best and worst dental health. Man, is this predictable?
We're headed south.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, the best, first of all, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Midwest looking very good. Connecticut, Idaho, North Dakota, Washington, D.C., and Massachusetts and Ohio. The worst, how easy is this to guess?
Oh, man.
Arkansas is the worst. Mississippi is second. West Virginia. Texas, good strong showing from the Lone Star State there. You finish ahead of Louisiana in this list, and there's a problem. Louisiana, Montana, Alaska, Kentucky, and Alabama. The SEC plus West Virginia. That always happens that way.
Alaska and Montana could be that there's enough people that are just like bunkered down in cabins, and they have to occasionally have toothpaste airdropped onto their property.
Yeah, they just pull their own teeth out with a wrench.
They're not going down into the city.
Their teeth are chattering so much they finally just break. Just cold. Finally, today's stupid criminal is a man named 𝗙𝗍𝗄𝗏 of Nashville. So he robbed the U.S. National Credit Union in Nashville last week. Got away with a bunch of cash. Police started their investigation with a look at the exterior security cameras.
Okay.
Which makes sense. I want to see him coming in. And they saw Shakir get out of one car and walk into the bank. But then when he ran out after the robbery, he jumped into a different car. And they thought that was maybe a little weird. And then upon further inspection, each of the cars he used had a little light on the dashboard. They zoomed in and saw that it was an Uber light. He Ubered to and from the bank robbery. He took Ubers both to and from the crime using his real name and account, probably his Uber app on his phone. Police contacted Uber. No problem tracking down 𝗙𝗍𝗄𝗏 because he took an Uber.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how this starts. Like the logic here starts. I don't want to rob this bank, but I can't.
Better not call a cab.
Nobody will agree to be my getaway driver, and I don't have a car.
I don't have the Lyft app. So
Uber. It's if I do it during the time of day where I know there's no price surge, maybe I could earn even more money on this robbery.
He can't use Hoodoo because Hoodoo, Scott always points out, Has to be legal.
No, that he shot down. Well, I think Uber
getting to
wants
the
it to be
bank
legal
would be
too.
legal, but
Yeah,
what
getting
he
to
does
the bank
there,
would be legal. Yeah, that would be out of the Uber driver's hand. It's not like he. Well, maybe he did.
Like coming away
allegedly.
from the bank. Yeah.
Did he put in the notes like,
accomplice.
pick me up, I need a ride to the bank?
Coming
those
out of
little
the
notes
bank?
you could make?
Yeah. I don't know if he knew these guys somehow or something, but just. I mean, that takes a lot of stones to rob a bank, but apparently not a lot of brains. All right, that's your more, everybody.
All right, well done, Andy. It is now time for Throwdowns.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns, backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
All right, guys. Over the last week, Iowa State suffered a heartbreaker at Arizona before losing the home winning streak, 29 games to Kansas State. Now, on the other hand, Kansas, who Iowa State plays tonight, blew multiple chances to beat Houston before giving up a 21-point lead to Baylor. I think that was the biggest deficit at Kansas State had ever given up and lost. Which team had the worst week, Kansas or Iowa State? Murph?
I think it's Iowa State. Iowa State lost at home by 19 to an average Big 12 basketball team and went into that game with a 29 home game winning streak. And Iowa State lost a game, what would have been an impressive win in an electric atmosphere at Arizona because a dude hit a 60-foot shot to force overtime. That is a bad, bad week for a really good team. And I've tried to think about this game tonight. I don't know what's going to happen because I think they're both reeling. And I guess I'd rather be Kansas and be at home and hope, if you're a Kansas fan, think that that's going to help you get back on track. But I think Iowa State had the worst week.
I can't add a whole lot to that. I agree with that. The other thing is that we don't know how this ends for Iowa State. We don't know if they steer out of the skid here on Monday or if this just manifests into a bona fide losing streak, right? A full-on losing streak. And maybe this past week is the reason why this was a really bad couple of games or just tough outcomes for Iowa State.
All right, guys, it's Super Bowl week. Which outcome would be better for the NFL? Chiefs dynasty continuing or the Eagles proving that someone can beat the Chiefs? Murph?
I think it's better for the NFL if the Chiefs win. I know there's Chiefs fatigue, but that helps a league when there's a team that everybody except fans of that team is against. When you have the great villain, it's good for the league. No one's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. So I think that storyline into next year where it's 31 against 1 is better for the NFL.
Agree with that one too. I'll say it's Chiefs. The NFL prides itself on its parity. But in reality, the only reason that parity works is when you can see the opposite of parity and when you can feel the benefit of I don't want to say once in a lifetime. It's not once in a lifetime, but of a truly special team or a special run by a program. You want to see that as much as you want to see the parity. I mean, you want to see both of those things. And this will remind everybody that, no, it is possible to have a dynasty in this day and age in the NFL. So teams can, win one year and keep at it and then win again, right? They can keep on going. They don't just have to immediately give up the crown. That's good for fans too.
Yeah. Pains me because the Chiefs beat the Niners in the Super Bowl twice, but I do agree. Yeah. I think the Chiefs is probably the better story here. All right, guys, the Grammys were last night. Kendrick Lamar had a great night. He won 5 of the major categories. Do you guys try and listen to new music? I don't know if either of you guys watched or recognized any of the artists. I like the Grammys just because they've really bought into just like making it a performance based. There's not as many awards handed out like the Oscars. They do a nice job of letting the artists kind of share their music. Do you guys like listening to this new music that's out there?
I mean, I don't ever watch the Grammys. I've never cared about the Grammys, even when I was a teenager and plugged in. That's when the Grammys were the worst, actually. But no, I've never cared about the Grammys. I do listen to new music. I like new music. Most of it is too young for me, but I don't really have a choice. I have a 13-year-old daughter who's a music junkie and loves getting in the car with me so she can take my phone and play DJ the whole time that we're driving anywhere. But yeah, I still enjoy finding a new song or new band that I like. That's not lost on me anymore.
I used to watch the Grammys all the time, and it would be fun when there would be a breakout performance. Like, you might be too young, Matt, but Ricky Martin came on there one time and just like took over with a performance that had people jumping out of their seats just with his charisma.
Ricky Martin sucked.
Well,
he was terrible.
I'm telling you, at the Grammys, this was a big moment, Andy. It was, what's that?
She Bang.
No, that's that William Hung.
God,
it
wasn't she bad.
Living La Vida Loca.
That's what it was. Living La Vida Loca. Michael Jackson, Billie Jean back in the day. That was a big deal.
Don't equate those two. Don't equate Michael Jackson and Ricky
You look
Martin.
up Ricky Martin's
Ricky Martin
performance
sucks.
when he sang that. He was great.
I'm sure everybody
Yeah,
was drooling all
good.
over in that dumb crowd. The
Chappell Roan
Grammys.
put on a nice performance yesterday. Sabrina Carpenter. The one that I don't really care for is that 𝘙ecie_𝗫𝗄. I think she's pretty big right now, but people were saying that was a legendary performance. She wasn't even singing.
I heard two of them in the car on Saturday on driving around with my daughter. Yeah, she was playing those.
I do try to keep up with that, and the kids all have, I mean, our kids is all across genres. So they'll have something they love and they'll say, I think you should listen to this. And it works the other way too. I'll tell them some old music that they'll try, and most of the time they don't love it. Sometimes they do, but I do try that. And like, I am familiar with Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick Lamar, Andy, do you know Kendrick Lamar has won a Pulitzer Prize?
No.
He's won a Pulitzer Prize for one of his albums. That's how good his writing is.
I think it was that Damn album, wasn't it?
It is Damn. He won a Pulitzer Prize for Damn.
2017.
I mean, there's only a couple of music artists ever that have won the Pulitzer Prize for writing, and he is one of them. So, yeah, I do try to keep up, but most of the time I can't fake it. I just have to go, I'm too old. This isn't for me. I'm too old.
Too old.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Matt Van Winkle in for AD today. Grimaldi's fan photos. Send your fan photos to Murph_Andy at IowaEverywhere.com, presented by Grimaldi's Coal Brick Oven Pizzeria in West Des Moines and District at Prairie Trail at Ankeny. Each Friday, we pick a winner of a $50 gift card to go to Grimaldi's. And you're seeing some of the entries here as people share their photos. Just out having a good time with friends and family. Keep those coming in. We'll keep picking winners, and we'll have Grimaldi's February 21st at the Irish at our Iowa Everywhere party. Is Hassel invited to this?
He's invited. He's not going to be able to make it, but he is invited. He's got a game to call that weekend.
I can't get a game at Drake that weekend?
I'm not sure exactly where
I'll make
he
a call.
is. No, he will not be there.
It is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. AD's not here. Matt is, and we still have the AD squared.
Yeah, it's presented by Game Day Men's Health, locations in Ankeny, West Des Moines, North Liberty, if you're on the eastern side of the state. I know AD's been having a lot of good success from that. You know, my wife saw Williams this weekend, and she said, man, Williams looks good. He looks really good.
Did she say it in an uncomfortable way? Like
Kinda,
maybe a little insecure?
Maybe a little bit, but no, she's just saying Williams looks good. I think he's lost 30 pounds. So
he does look good. Yeah, I noticed that in, and he's so full of tea now. He just keeps shaving the head because he just feels like he doesn't have to try to do a comb over anymore because he's just so secure in his masculinity. Yeah. It's been nice to see.
All right, guys. Well, the big news Saturday, obviously we talked about it, Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and it was kind of fun to see the word get around because it came out late Saturday. Was it Saturday?
Saturday night, wasn't it?
Saturday night.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Just weird for big news to break like that. Well, the Suns' Devin Booker Wasn't sure which 𝗀𝗏𝗏 they were talking about. See if you can catch this.
Yeah, we saw Damian leave, found out from someone in the stands, like, you guys weren't on the bench. What happened?
Yeah, somebody told us on the bench. Said Luka. I said, Luka Garza? Who got traded? No shade, though.
Right, to Garza, right.
But, yeah, great.
So we thought it was Luka Garza that got traded. Nope.
Luka Garza? Nope. The other Luka. Luka Doncic. All right. Thank you, Matt. Matt, thanks for jumping into the seat for AD, who's got some other work today, but he's still running the merch store over at Iowa Everywhere. So stop by there if you'd like to pick something up. Got a request this weekend for winter hats. What do you call those?
Stocking cap?
Beanies?
Yeah, stocking caps. Can you, well, I guess this would be something I should bring up when AD's here. A toque? A toque. Isn't that a hockey term or is that just a
That's
Canadian
a Canadian term, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, toque. All right. Thank you for, we have quick poll results, and then I'll thank you. Quick poll
Sorry, guys,
results.
let me pull those up. Yeah, let me refresh here, make sure I get the updated results for you guys. So the question was,
where are you with Bill Self?
Yeah, Bill Self. Do you kind of like him or not a fan? 73.2% kind of like him. So haven't changed much over the hour.
Things have changed over the past 2-3 years. Yeah, he's grown on a lot of fans there.
I think this happens too, just as you get older and you start to appreciate somebody. Like, it's not the same thing, but Andy, I remember a long time ago, the fans used to drive crazy on What's Bugging Andy back in your younger days. And then when you left for Kansas City, like they were shocked, many of them, that they missed you. Like they missed being able to be mad at you.
Well, and I think this happens also where you, first of all, the guy gets older and he just, Bill Self is different than he used to be. He's not as wound up. But I mean, whether it's, Tom Brady or Larry Bird or, so many of the other greats that were just ultra competitive in their heyday, as they get older, they just sort of start to mellow, and everybody appreciates them for, as they can also kind of see that, they're not going to coach or play forever. They kind of appreciate them for what they've been.
When you're starting to see some of those, maybe those competitive advantages they had by slipping a few dollars under the table to these players, that's all above board now. So
yeah,
I don't know, maybe those things that people hated him for
I don't even
in the past
think about that with him anymore. I don't even think about that.
I know.
Now you're like, he was ahead of his time. It kind of was like that. All right, thank you for being part of Murph and Andy. All of you who are on your way to Lawrence, Kansas right now, including Scott, be careful. Have a good time at the game tonight. Thanks for supporting local media here on Iowa Everywhere. Please like and subscribe. We're back Monday. No, we're back Wednesday. This is Monday. We're back Wednesday, and then Friday, and then the following Monday. And we hope you are too.